Hello, everyone. My name is Ann McKenna, and under the broad category of faculty development, we wanted to share two initiatives with you. One is a national scale effort on faculty mentorship 360, we call it, and another more local activity that we're doing with onboarding new faculty at Arizona State University. So we wanted to describe these two as well as opportunities for engaging in these activities and sharing some of the resources. So to start talking about the topic of Mentorship 360, we and developing that as an initiative, we really knew that we needed to find a working definition for what we meant by, what we meant by mentorship. And so here is a definition that comes from a recent report that was published by the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. Mentorship is a professional working alliance in which individuals work together over time to support the personal and professional growth, development, and success of the relational partners through the provision of career and psychosocial support. And so I have italicized a few words there because those words are critical to the approach that we take, and that is it is an alliance, and it is activity that happens over time, both to support professional and personal growth. And so faculty come to their profession as a whole person, and they have a life. And all of those components too are what enables one to be successful. And that mentorship is not just along the lines of advancing career, but also what you might need in terms of social support along the way. So from that, we've been funded by the Kern Family Foundation. It is a foundation that focuses on instilling the entrepreneurial mindset in undergraduate students. And so we have taken that and applied that mindset to the mentorship of faculty. An entrepreneurial mindset, as it's defined within this community, really consists of three C's, which is building community, using curiosity, and making connections. And so it fits really nicely into the idea of mentorship. And so our goals are to instigate a faculty to advance faculty mentorship as it's related to using these three C's, connect across the community, and as well as in terms of contributing, growing the knowledge base of faculty, effective faculty mentorship related to entrepreneurial mindset. And so one of the things that we've done is we know in terms of making connections that the internet is important, virtual, we're all living in a virtual world, that in terms of creating the resource, it's a very dynamic and community-based presence. And we use a tool called Wakelet. And there are links there to each of the Wakelets where any research that's taking place under the initiative, individuals can go and dynamically update that. And so we really do envision this as something that's built for and by the community. And so in that regard, the funding that we received is intended to support the community as it's engaging in innovative ideas around instigate, contribute, and connect. And so I'm not going to read through all of these 8, but it's here as an example that we really are focused on building a network of partners. And there are 8 individual projects ongoing that are focused at the teaching mentorship around teaching, telling stories about how one goes through the tenure process, facilitating entrepreneurial mindset as it advances mid-career faculty, not just new faculty, and so forth. So that was our starting point. Those projects are ongoing. We have these 8 partners. We've been interacting with them. Their projects will end in 2021. And we have a new round of topics that we want to advance under Mentorship 360. And here's a list of them. And again, I've italicized a few of these because they connect to many of the projects that have been talked about as part of this colloquium. And that is, we are all, particularly in the US, have a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so as we think about the topics, how they play a role in terms of faculty mentorship, The other is most of us, all of us, are teaching in a remote and virtual way. And so what does it mean to provide mentorship through distance teaching, researching, advising? And then finally, how do we actually mentor in this remote world, in this virtual world, as opposed to traditional approaches where you would grab a cup of coffee or stop by one's office. And so we know that there's additional work that we can explore in this regard. And so that's a brief overview of Mentorship 360. I'm going to ask my colleague now, Lindy, to come on, and she will share with you some of the work we're doing at ASU around community of practice.
Thank you, Anne. So I'm going to speak a little bit about the community of practice model that we are employing for faculty development. And there are many definitions of what community of practice means in the educational setting. This is the one that we have adopted. COP are groups of people who share a concern or passion for something they do and learn how to do it better as they interact regularly. So what does that mean? Anne, you can go ahead and go to the next slide for me. Thank you. So I'll start with our new faculty community of practice. When we were designing the new faculty onboarding program, we knew that we wanted to leverage this community of practice model that we'd employed in some of our other grant projects. If I have time, I'll talk about a few of those in the next slide. And so we created a program that is essentially comprised of 3 components. The first is a series of workshops where faculty come together and learn as a community. On the right here, you can see a list of our workshops. They vary slightly based on the needs of each cohort. However, the general topics remain pretty similar each year. And this year, obviously, we focused a little more on instructional technology and online instructor presence, those kind of things, than we've covered in previous years. And using this community of practice structure with the workshops helps model this best practice of active learning and peer-to-peer interaction that we hope to see in the student classroom. But then when we come to professional development, oftentimes that kind of goes out the window. So we really wanted to infuse that into our professional development and create a system where the faculty are less reliant on the workshop facilitators for all of the answers to their questions. And there's also a mentoring component. We have a team of experienced faculty who attend all of these workshops and share guidance and real life examples and experience related to the workshop topics. We also incorporate an opportunity for classroom observations using a validated classroom observation protocol and subsequent coaching sessions. And obviously the observations have looked a little different this year, but we focused that time and energy into a little more instructional design support, since many of the new faculty are relying more heavily on the LMS system and instructional technology than in previous years. And if you can go to the next slide here, I'm going to kind of skip through this because I know we're very tight on time. So these are a few of our other grant projects that have followed this community of practice model, where we come together, learn in the community, go out, try some of these ideas, and then make sure that we have this opportunity to come back together, discuss how the implementation has gone so far, what challenges, what success have we found, and then lead others in the same type of work. And you can go ahead and skip ahead. So what happens when the grant funding ends? Oftentimes these projects tend to disappear, and even if they continue on, they don't have a chance to interact with one another. And so one of the ways that we have addressed this problem is to bring all of our separate grants and initiatives that are going on into a broader teaching community of practice. And this allows faculty to interact with their colleagues from all different disciplines, all different grants. And you can go to the next slide there. Great. And so now that we have this very large teaching community of practice, we've kind of had to further revise our meeting structure. They look much less like what you would typically think of for a professional development session, much more like this working crowdsourcing session. So we start with a short presentation on a given topic. For example, our last session was on assessing learning in the hybrid learning space. And after a short presentation, we head into a discussion. Depending on the outcomes, we have additional discussion or time to collaborate and come up with ideas on implementation. And then I love this last component, which is our solve component. And so you can sort of think of it as crowdsourcing with your colleagues for your problems. So one faculty might say, I'm really having trouble with a grad student. They're not conducting quality research. How have others managed this problem? Or I have a large coding project. What software, auto grading software, have others found effective? And so we have this time where they can give each other real-time feedback and again, continue learning as we come together regularly. At the end of each semester, we take a quick vote of what the group would like to see and learn about the following semester. Here are our most recent results. I know that's a bit of an eye chart, but you may be able to see there teaching Generation Z, adaptive learning, managing labs in the blended modality, and what will teaching look like 10 years from now were the most requested topics for our spring session. So that's a short summary on teaching community of practice. I hope that's helpful, and I'm happy to answer any questions or share any of these resources. And with that, I'll turn it back to Anne.
Anne, Lindy, thank you so very much. Very interesting. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat. Maybe I can start with one. I think, as Emanuela mentioned, we have a sort of community of practice model a little bit in the IEP, although not as well developed as this. We find that it's often there's a small group who really engage with it, but have you had any success at spreading it and how you bring more people in and grow? Because I think we sort of find these sessions have the same people time and time again, and how you build on that.
I think we certainly find that as well. I think two things that have helped. One, we have had some grant funding, and so there was some financial incentives that helped get the ball rolling on some of these ideas. But now all of these are completely voluntary. There's no financial incentive. Even our new faculty program, there's not a university requirement. So we rely very heavily on word of mouth of other faculty telling faculty, this is worth your time. We know you're really busy, but if you come to this session for an hour, you're going to benefit quite greatly in your classroom. And so that's, I think, the single best way. And then each year we have this new faculty cohort that joins our broader teaching community of practice and brings new ideas and new questions. And so I think that helps to constantly bring in this new infusion of great people and ideas.
Excellent, that's very good. Does anyone else have any questions, anything they'd like to come in with? Sure there are, we're just Friday afternoon. So yeah, I see Ewan from Charles Sturt. Is it linked to promotion or tenure, or is this, I guess you said it was voluntary, but are there other sorts of incentives attached?
Well, I'll let Anne can speak to that much more than I can. The one thing that I will say that we do offer is at the end of participation, we do offer a letter of participation that faculty can include in their promotion and tenure package if faculty request that, but I'll let Anne speak to anything else as well.
And just to build on that, that letter goes to the academic lead in the Fulton Schools of Engineering is called a director. And so the director receives that letter and also information about what the faculty member did and participated in as part of the community of practice. And what I have seen in tenure and promotion cases, there is an element of expectation that faculty are innovative with their teaching. And so this is one of several examples they can use as evidence of participating in innovation in their teaching. And it's also something that the director can use in his or her letter in terms of providing a letter of support and recommendation for promotion and tenure. And so it has been embedded in the system that way. It's recognized as a valuable program. And part of that value is communicated by the other faculty who have participated in the program and the way in which they are recognized as innovative teachers.
Okay. Excellent, thank you very much.